You ever wonder what happens when a Star Wars nerd starts wearing some Carhartt and then goes to college to become a blue-collar worker? Well, you get something like this. So like any self-respecting clone trooper, in today's video I'm going to be customizing my gear. Alright, so I got this brand new welding hood from a kit that I had to order, and I asked my instructor, and he said I could paint it any way I want. He doesn't care how I modify it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this white base, and I'm going to merge it with this paint job from the Clone Wars, like from Star Wars, right? Now to start with this custom painting process, we are going to have ourselves a very long and very detailed taping section. So what I started with was frog tape, that's the green stuff you see there, and I actually had to do this in 2 steps of painting, and each one had its own taping step. So the first part is putting down the black. Now the black is just going to be that one band that goes along right above the visor there, and there's that little triangular trapezoid type shape below the visor that I'm going to kind of use to replicate the T shape that you see in all Clone Trooper visors anyway. But then once we're done with that, we have that first black base coat on. I'll move on to the red, but that's a little bit later on. So enjoy this quick painting montage. Now I used a gloss black for this. I can't remember if I used a Krylon brand or Rust-Oleum, but regardless, it ended up looking really good and nice and shiny, just like how they look in the movies. It was what I thought best replicated the look from a shiny, as they're called in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. But now let's get all that tape off. Alright, now we had the initial stage of painting done and dusted, so I was really happy with how that black band, that little visor detail came out. This is me trying it on for the first time. Very much look like a shiny here. Don't really have a designation yet, but now we're moving on to actually putting on all of the red onto the helmet, and it started with this taping stage, and this took a very, very long time. I mean, I might have had 50 minutes of footage on this that I cut out of the original video of this. I was going to have it all sped up, but I realized how boring that would have been. So instead, I just have a few key points here. I marked out at very specific measurements how far apart the red stripes above the brow line were supposed to be. And that was a battle in itself. And I actually changed up my method. I was using just strips of tape to do that, but eventually I used really thin ones. I would fill them in the middle. You'll see that later. But after all that was done, I moved on to doing the cheek parts and the mouth part and all that, and the stripe down the middle of the head. But here's a quick transition into when it's done. And yeah, I mean, you guys, you have no idea how big of a time jump this was, but I was very happy with that tape job. I was happy with, or better, I was impressed with the amount of discipline I put into getting that done and getting it done accurately to the source material. Now, as for the actual color that I used for the red spots on the helmet, on the hood, I should say, the hood painted like a helmet, I was a Rust-Oleum apple red, I believe. You can try to read the front of the can there. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But anyway, I was kind of scared that it wouldn't, the paint wouldn't adhere that well because of the kind of the glossy finish of the hood when I bought it. But as it turned out, it did actually end up laying down pretty good. Had that glossy finish towards the end, and this is the footage of me getting all that tape off and revealing the custom paint job that I worked so hard to get. So I'll just let you guys kind of sit back and enjoy the untaping process. Now at this point I was getting really excited to see the finished product of the whole helmet and the paint job I had just put on it, but there were a few things I realized that I needed to touch up, and that was all at a lot of the corners of the rectangles and all the shapes that I had just painted on. There was a little bit of not overspray, but the red paint had kind of leaked through the corners of the paint the tape I had put down. So I used an X-Acto knife and the sanding sponge with like a really narrow edge on one side to take away some of that unwanted excess paint. But after scratching and scrubbing away that excess, it was really done. So if this were a 3D print, I would have added some weathering to it, but spending a couple months in the welding shop, it kind of got weathered for free without me having to do any painting to it, just because of all the scratches and the smoke that got gathered onto it. But yeah, that is the finished product. I hope you enjoyed the video. If this does well, maybe I'll make another hood, but until then, goodbye and God bless.